Okay, you know that feeling, that one where you're staring down a new challenge, maybe a complex project, or just like a fire hose of information. And you think, okay, how do I even get my arms around this?
Or maybe, what are the key things I really need to pull out here, and fast?
Exactly. That's exactly the territory we're diving into today. We got our hands on something really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a transcript from a recent panel conversation. It featured 4 brilliant minds from Stanford, Allison Cougar, near HBI, Christian Wheeler, and Naomi Bagdonis.
Wow, okay. Quite the lineup.
Totally. And they were talking about everything, like how you show up and lead, navigating discomfort, embracing the unexpected, and even AI.
Huh. So it's like getting a sneak peek into some of the latest thinking across psychology, organizational behavior.
Communication, It's a really rich source, isn't it? So many potential angles.
Definitely.
As I was going through it, I just kept highlighting things, scribbling notes, thinking, okay, that's practical, or wow, I didn't see that connection coming. So our mission in this deep dive is really to pull out those most practical, maybe even surprising insights from what they shared.
Yeah, the goal is to give you some sharp tools, maybe some fresh perspectives, so you feel more informed and, I guess, better prepared in your own world.
Exactly. It's about finding those nuggets that make a real difference, in how you interact, lead, navigate challenges.
Agreed. Let's start unpacking some of these ideas.
Let's do it. And first up, something Allison Cougar spent time on, which feels pretty foundational: your presence and influence, specifically around reputation.
Okay. Yeah, she zeroes in on this core idea that your own perception of yourself, it really has to line up with how you actually land on other people. Like, you might think you're just being direct, right? But are others experiencing you as blunt or, dismissive? That gap, that's where reputation issues can pop up.
And I was struck by her emphasis that reputation isn't, fixed. It's not set in stone.
Right.
It's something you can actively manage, shape. She actually described it as your currency.
Currency, yeah. That can open doors, create opportunities. It's a powerful way to frame it.
Totally. And she offered such practical advice on building that currency, like knowing your audience.
What do they actually need or want from you in this specific moment?
Yeah, and listening more than you talk. And the simple one, just checking in, asking, does that make sense? Or can I clarify anything? It shows you're not just dumping information.
You're ensuring it's actually received, moving from monologue to dialogue.
Yes. And I love the point about exceeding expectations, not just for you, but because it protects the reputation of anyone who might have, gone out on a limb for you.
That's a good point.
But the image that really stuck with me, something she's apparently shared before, was reputation is the echo that precedes you into the room.
Oh, wow. How much does that capture it?
Right. It's perfect, isn't it? That impact you have before you even open your mouth.
Exactly. And building on that, how we influence and lead, Near HBI brought up this idea of pluralism in leadership.
Okay, this one resonated with me right away. Pluralism. He defines it as intentionally creating environments where multiple people can thrive and contribute using their different skills.
Right, different characteristics. Instead of expecting one single person to embody all the leadership traits.
Which is impossible anyway.
Pretty much. And the specific example he used was so vivid. Stanford athletics teams.
Oh yeah, the captains.
Exactly. Often having multiple captains, not just one person with the C on their jersey.
And each captain might have a totally different role, a different strength.
Yeah, one is maybe the fiery, dominant leader type. Another might be more approachable, empathetic, offering support.
And maybe a third is like the liaison.
Yeah.
Between the team and the coaches.
Precisely. They leverage diverse strengths depending on what's needed.
So, thinking about this for yourself, for you listening, it's about asking, how can you recognize and use the different strengths on your own team or in your organization?
How can you create space for different people to step up and lead in ways that actually suit them, instead of forcing everyone into one mold?
That's a really important question for any group, I think.
Yeah, it is.
And speaking of different ways we show up, Allison Cougar also broke down executive presence. She framed it as a learned skill with 3 key factors.
Okay. The first one is appearance.
Right.
And she was really clear. It's not about being, a supermodel or rich.
No.
It's about being dressed appropriately for the work you're doing. It signals capability, are you prepared? Do you take this seriously?
Exactly. She mentioned things like, wrinkles, messy hair, Maybe wearing sweatpants when it's not appropriate. Stuff like that can signal, consciously or not, maybe a lack of care or attention to detail.
It's about looking the part in a way that just says, I'm here, I'm ready to do the job.
Yeah, makes sense.
The second factor is communication. We talk about this a lot, right? But she highlighted things like synthesizing information, being concise, and again, being really aware of your audience's needs and, tailoring your message.
Leaving your point across effectively, that's power.
It really is. And the third factor was gravitas.
Ah, yes, gravitas.
And her analogy for this is just fantastic. The swan.
Oh, I love the swan analogy.
Isn't it great? On the surface, it's just gliding effortlessly, looks totally poised, in control.
Yeah.
But underneath, its feet are paddling like crazy.
Such a perfect image. So gravitas is about making people around you feel kind of taken care of.
Exactly. It's that calm, controlled surface, but it also includes the confidence to admit when you don't know something.
Right, that's important.
Yeah, but paired with the confidence to know who does. Pointing someone to the right expert, that's actually a sign of strength, not weakness.
Okay, that shifts the perspective.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And connecting this idea of presence and influence to fostering better human connection, Naomi Bagdona's brought in some really compelling data. This is where it gets really interesting.
Oh, tell me about it. I loved this part.
She shared research showing a high correlation, like a really high correlation, between business growth and the degree to which employees feel they can be their most authentic selves at work.
Wow. Okay, hold on. So authenticity isn't just some feel-good HR buzzword.
Oh, sure.
It's actually linked to tangible business outcomes.
That's what the data suggests. And she makes the case that humor is a key way to unlock that authenticity.
Humor, okay.
Yeah, it diffuses tension, it boosts creativity, it just makes interactions more human, more effective.
Makes sense.
She and her collaborator, they've identified 4 humor styles: the driver, the sweetheart, the sniper, and the magnet. It's a way to understand your own natural, authentic, humorous self.
And I thought it was great that she shared a resource, that humorseriously.com quiz for people to explore their own style. That felt so practical. It's not just talking about humor, but giving you a tool to tap into your own.
Definitely. It's about giving you permission, really, and maybe a framework to bring more of your genuine self, your quirks and all, to work.
Okay, so that's about how we show up. Now, shifting gears a bit, how we handle internal experiences. Christian Wheeler introduced this foundational idea from his work on spontaneous management.
Yes. Getting comfortable, being uncomfortable.
This is such a crucial point, isn't it?
Yeah.
He argues that we actively hurt our own growth by avoiding mental discomfort. The fear of failure is the classic example, right? How many opportunities do we miss? Like starting that project or even just speaking up in a meeting because we're afraid we won't get it perfect.
Oh, absolutely. He contrasted it with how kids learn. They fall constantly, they look awkward, they fail.
And they just get back up.
They just get back up and try again.
Yeah.
Adults, though, we become experts at avoiding situations where we might look bad. He made the point. You learn to look good by first looking bad.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's a tough pill to swallow sometimes, but it rings so true. And he offered that challenge. What did you fail at in the last week, and what did you learn? And if the answer is nothing,
maybe you're not putting yourself in situations where significant growth is even possible. You're playing it too safe.
Right. And he connected another form of mental discomfort, like fear of unoccupied time, or just being alone with your thoughts.
Yeah.
He connected that to our modern phone addiction.
Oh, this section was eye-opening. He shared that really disturbing research, where participants chose electrical shocks over just sitting quietly with their thoughts.
It's wild.
It is. And the finding that just having your phone present, even if it's off, face down on the table, negatively impacts your cognitive performance.
Yeah.
His blunt summary was basically, your phone is making you stupid.
Wow.
It takes you out of the moment, right? Away from noticing those little offers or stimuli around you that could spark new ideas or connections.
You miss things.
You miss things. It erodes our ability to be present in interactions, harms relationships, and it removes our ability to capitalize on those unexpected thoughts or breakthrough ideas because we're constantly reaching for that external stimulation.
And related to making mistakes, Christian also made a really clear distinction between rumination.
Yes.
That unproductive cycle of just replaying errors and beating yourself up versus helpful reflection, where you calmly analyze what happened, what you learned after the fact.
Yeah, rumination is just mental piling on. Reflection is actually learning. He also mentioned that anxiety management technique, which felt relevant here.
Oh, yeah.
Distancing yourself from the feeling by just observing it, saying to yourself, okay, this is me feeling anxious. It creates just a little bit of space, enough space to maybe choose your response instead of just reacting.
That makes sense. And these ideas about navigating discomfort and our internal states, they tie in nicely with what Naomi Bagdonas was saying about finding your guiding principles and embracing serendipity.
Right. She suggested identifying your core principles by looking back at moments where you felt really energized, like totally in alignment with your values.
Okay.
Versus those moments where you felt drained, out of sync, those points of contrast.
And one of her guiding principles is actually designing for serendipity.
Yeah, which is fascinating. She allocates what she calls a 15% serendipity fund.
Both time and budget.
Both time and budget, yeah. Specifically for pursuing unexpected opportunities that just kind of pop up in her field, even if they weren't part of the original plan.
And she told that story about booking a last-minute trip to New York.
Just for a spontaneous conversation with someone. It wasn't planned, but it felt aligned with her principle of being open, available.
And it led to something big later on.
Exactly. Significant future collaboration.
Right.
It's about navigating life with, as she put it, a palms-up attitude.
Palms up, I like that. Being available, open, rather than rigidly clinging to a fixed plan.
Which, when you think about it, requires a certain comfort with the unexpected, right?
Yeah, it does. A different kind of discomfort than, say, fear of failure, but still requires that openness.
So, thinking about your own guiding principles, what really energizes you? And are you budgeting any time or resources, even just 5%, for those unexpected palms-up opportunities?
That's a great challenge for listeners.
Yeah.
Definitely something to mull over.
Yeah. Now, moving into another area that was clearly top of mind for all the experts, artificial intelligence, AI.
Ah, yes. The big topic.
And they had some varied, but actually quite complementary perspectives on how they see it and how they use it.
Okay. Christian Wheeler, he acknowledged the potential downsides, right? Like students using it to maybe bypass learning.
The shortcuts.
But we really focused on the upside. AI as a new collaborator.
A collaborator, interesting.
Yeah, he predicted we might see more successful generalists, people who are skilled at partnering with AI rather than just specialists in one narrow field.
And he uses it heavily in his research, doesn't he?
Totally. For brainstorming stimulus ideas like getting AI to generate typical arguments on a topic, and also for analyzing just vast amounts of data.
Like the tweets example.
Exactly. Training AI to categorize, say, 1 million tweets, a task that would be practically impossible for a human team.
Wow. Okay. And Naomi Bagdonas, how did she frame AI?
She framed it around human expansion over human extraction.
Human expansion.
Yeah. How can AI free up human time so we can do more meaningful things? Her teaching example was fantastic.
Oh, the AI assistants.
Yes. Creating AI assistants trained on years and years of assignment feedback so they can answer all the common student questions.
Okay, so it handles the repetitive stuff.
Right, which allows the instructors to skip those explanations and have deeper, more nuanced conversations with students like right away. Get deeper quicker, she said.
Get deeper quicker. I like that. That's a tangible benefit.
Definitely. Now, near HVI, he mentioned using AI in his research too. For generating videos of improbable events to study strategic surprises.
Okay, interesting application.
But he also voiced a concern that I think a lot of people share.
Which is?
He worries about AI replacing human contact, especially as a psychologist.
Will people turn to an AI chatbot for advice instead of, talking to another person?
Exactly. And because of this, he's actively designing his teaching to increase human connectedness.
How so?
Like assigning students to go out and interview people in their personal networks, something AI simply cannot replicate.
That's such a critical counterpoint, isn't it? Ensuring we don't lose those essential human elements as we adopt AI.
Yeah. And Allison Cougar, coming at it from a communication perspective, she sees AI as incredibly helpful for structuring and organizing your message.
The scaffolding.
Because it's stressed that you must inject your own authentic voice, your personal stories, your unique why. That's what differentiates you.
Yeah, right. AI can enhance the structure, but it can't create that authentic connection or the unique perspective that makes you, you.
Exactly. And she offered a super practical tip, using AI to practice for spontaneous speaking.
Oh, like for job interviews or board talks.
Yeah, asking you to generate potential questions you might get so you can train those muscles, get comfortable responding on the fly.
That's clever, using it as a sparring partner.
Kinda, yeah. So what's fascinating is seeing AI used in all these different ways, research, teaching, communication prep. But there's this consistent thread, isn't there?
Yeah, using it to enhance human capability and connection, ideally not just replace it.
Right. Leveraging the tool while remembering the human purpose behind it.
Well said. Now let's shift gears again. Ideas around fixing broken systems and proactively setting yourself up for success. Nir HBI shared his work on fixing hierarchy.
Okay, this section felt really important, especially for anyone working in or managing an organization. He described a broken hierarchy as having these 4 key characteristics.
What are they?
It's ultra-competitive, unkind, unjust, and unstable.
Oof, that sounds toxic.
Doesn't it? If a hierarchy has all 4, he argues, it basically loses its justification for existing. It's not serving anyone well.
So what's the fix?
He offered a recipe using the acronym CPR.
CPR. Okay.
C is for common values. P is for pluralism, which we talked about earlier, embracing those diverse strengths. And R is for relatedness, fostering genuine connection among people.
Common values, pluralism, relatedness. CPR. I like that.
Yeah, I loved his analogy here. When you encounter a broken hierarchy, don't just call 911 and wait for someone else.
Yeah.
Administer CPR yourself. Think about how you can actively inject common values, pluralism, and relatedness into the systems you're part of.
It's about proactive repair, not just complaining.
Exactly. It puts the agency back with you.
And returning to Allison Cougar's advice, she connected back to executive presence and reputation with this strong encouragement to actively opt into new opportunities.
Yes. She said we often hold ourselves back with mindsets like, oh, that's not really me, or I've never done that before.
It's self-limiting beliefs.
Totally. Her message is simple, but honestly, pretty powerful. Just say yes and then figure it out.
Because, as she wisely put it, the deliverable is never 5 minutes from the ask.
Huh? That's so true. You usually have time to learn, to adapt, to gather resources. Don't let that initial uncertainty stop you.
Yeah, don't self-select out before you even start.
Right. And speaking of setting things up for success, Christian Wheeler mentioned he's currently focused on improving facilitated interactions, like meetings.
The bane of many people's existence.
Right, which he notes are incredibly complex to run well. But his key takeaway, it's all about the pre-work.
The prep beforehand. Makes sense.
Yeah. The success of any facilitated interaction, he argues, really hinges on effective pre-work. And he pointed to the calendar invite.
Calendar invite.
Yeah, as the most underutilized communication expectation setting tool we have.
Huh. Never thought of it that way. We just use it for time and location, basically.
Exactly. But he argues it's prime real estate to set a clear agenda, state the desired outcome, manage expectations for how people should prepare or contribute.
So putting in the work up front to make the actual meeting, the interaction itself, more productive.
Precisely. Setting the stage properly.
Okay, that's a good practical tip. And finally, another really practical research finding from Christian Wheeler, this one about written communication.
Oh yeah, the titles.
The titles, exactly. When writing titles for articles, emails, whatever, statements, not questions.
Statements, not questions. Why?
His research across different types of writing showed that statement titles like green tea has health benefits, they get significantly more engagement.
More clicks, more shares.
More clicks, more citations, more upvotes than question titles like, does green tea have health benefits?
Oh.
Or green tea has health benefits.
Wow. That's such a small change, but potentially big impact.
It really makes you reconsider how you frame, email subject lines or document titles, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. So, wow. Okay, we've covered a huge range of ground here, just digging into the Stanford panel conversation.
They really have.
We touched on managing your personal reputation, your presence, the power of pluralism and leadership.
Cultivating executive presence through appearance, communication, gravitas, the swan.
The swan. And how authenticity, often expressed through humor, is actually tied to business growth.
And then navigating discomfort, whether it's fear of failure or that fear of empty mental space. Hello, phone addiction.
Right. Learning from mistakes versus just ruminating. Embracing serendipity, finding your guiding principles.
The palms up attitude.
Yeah. We got diverse perspectives on AI as a collaborator, an enhancer of human time, something to wield carefully while keeping human connection central.
And we discussed fixing broken systems with that CPR model, the importance of just saying yes to opportunities.
Setting up interactions for success with better pre-work, and even that simple trick for more engaging titles.
All of these ideas, they come from different angles, but they're really about giving you listening more agency, more effectiveness in what feels like an increasingly complex world.
Absolutely. It's about tools for navigating it all. So, as you think about all of this, the discomfort of growth, the power of authenticity, the call to embrace serendipity and fix broken things, here's maybe a final provocative thought to leave you with, kind of pulling a few threads together.
Okay.
Given that feeling authentic at work seems tied to business growth and embracing discomfort is essential for personal growth, and AI might free up time for more meaningful interaction, how am I consciously leaning into a slightly uncomfortable situation this week, bringing more of your genuine, maybe quirky self-tell to it, perhaps aided by a tool like AI Prep? How might that be the most strategic move you make, not just for you, but for the people around you?
That's a powerful connection. Or thinking about Christian's point on the fear of empty time in the phone, if deliberately putting your phone away, maybe just for 10 minutes, frees up mental space where you might notice those offers that lead to serendipity. What small, maybe slightly uncomfortable moment of disconnected time could you create for yourself today? What might pop up?
Good questions to ponder. Think about which idea from this deep dive really resonated most strongly with you. Maybe explore that specific concept or that expert's work a little further based on what we've shared from this really fascinating conversation.
Definitely food for thought. Until next time, keep diving deep.